guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm actually going to tear the 450 apart. I'm going to look at the valves, I'm going to check the carb out. As I mentioned in my video 2 videos ago now, when I was going through the bike doing a walkthrough, that I've had backfire issue with it since I rebuilt the carb. Now a couple things here. My float is just a little bit high in my bowl, because if I let the bike sit for very long with the fuel open, it does come out the overflow. So I got to fix that. I don't know how I got that off, because I measured that. I did everything perfect on that, so I'm not exactly sure why that's happening. And then the next thing is, when I put in my carburetor rebuild kit, ever since then the bike has backfired. Now when I picked it up, it didn't do that. So it's something I did, and I have checked my exhaust flanges to make sure that they're tight, everything like that. So and the backfire is only on decel, so it's basically giving me a lean issue on decel. So probably my pilot jet. But anyway, so I'm going to dig into that. I'm going to tear into the carburetor on that thing, try to figure out that issue. Also check my valves, make sure they're within spec. And then at that point, I've pretty much gone over everything I can. I never did change any timing on it, nothing like that, so should be pretty much dialed in. So I brought the wide angle lens out. As you can see everything in my little shed here. So I've got the bike set up. I've also got the table set up here. And I'm going to start by taking the bike apart. I'm going to take the tank off, plastics off, seat off, rear subframe, and then rear subframe, the only subframe. And then once I get the carb out, I will pull the valve cover and start yanking the cams. So I guess we'll see what I find. But main goal here is check valves, figure out backfire on decel issue. Pretty sure it's my pilot jet. Alright guys, I'm about 10 minutes into this, and I got the subframe off, shock off, plastics, seat, subframe, tank. So I'm pretty much to that point now where I'm about ready to pull the carb. So as you can see, I pulled my exhaust off also. I'm going to plug that with some rags, just to keep anything from getting in there while I'm working on it. And then once I get the carb off, I'm also going to plug the intake port so I don't get anything else in there. But now the carb on this bike can come off without taking the shock out. I'm pretty sure I've done it before, but it is near impossible, because as you can see, the shock will ride right here, and it literally bumps right up next to the carb pretty much. So it's just much easier to pull the 2 bolts and pull the shock off. So anyway, making progress here. The next thing I'm going to do, pull the carb, pull the motor mounts, these top 2, and then pretty much be there. As far as coolant lines go and stuff like that, all that can stay on. This breather hose will come off, and spark plug boot. And then at that point, I guess we'll go ahead and set our timing to top dead center, and release our tension on our timing chain. But I think first I'm going to go ahead and check out this carburetor, see what's going on with it. I'm really curious about this carburetor before I look into valves. So anyway, yeah, pretty quick. Doesn't take very long if you've done it before to tear your bike down. It's a pretty painless process, pretty quick, pretty painless process. So, and the more you do it, the more you get familiar with it. So this will be my 3rd time tearing down this bike, but probably my 10th or 12th time tearing down a 4-stroke YZ. So they're pretty much all the same. Alright, a couple observations right off the bat. See that electrical connector right there? Look how sandy it is, how much dirt it's got on it. The other side's even worse. That goes to the TPS, the throttle position sensor. And then also here, this is your hot start cable. Let me, come on, focus camera. This is your hot start cable right here. And this is actually a aluminum nut for your hot start. They come stock with a plastic nut, and it is just horrible. So that's a great thing to go ahead and buy. They're like $10 online. You can get them anywhere, eBay, you know, Amazon, whatever. So look up hot start cable insert or nut or whatever it is. I don't remember what I looked up, but anyway, that'll keep you from messing up and having a pulled out nut on your hot start. Now is a great time. I'm going to replace my spark plug in there. I'm going to wait to pull this valve cap, but also check that out. Look at all that grime, all that mud and sand in there. So I'm going to clean all that out too while I'm here. Got the carb right here, ready to be looked at. So that is my next project. I'm going to tear this apart, and probably what I'm going to do, you can see these are already stiff. I think I'll go ahead and replace these again anyway, because last time I did it, I cut these just a little bit too short. So I'm going to go ahead and fix them. But for now, and so this is the other thing I'm wondering too. When I took this carb apart the first time, I actually removed the throttle position sensor. And when I put it back in, I couldn't tell where it was beforehand. So I don't know if that is part of my backfire issue on decel, because I mean, it very well could be. It's all timing, but who knows. Another thing too that I'd never mentioned in my carb video is somebody took a Dremel and tried to, I don't know what they did there, what the point was there. They were porting out the carb barrel or what, but anyway, look at that. Look at that. I don't really understand it. It makes zero sense to me. So anyway, I mean, it doesn't affect the carb. It's perfectly fine, but it's just one of those things. It's like, why did you do that? Like, you're not going to gain any horsepower by doing that. So whatever. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to tear into this carb now and see what I find. What I found was, first off, my main jet is a 160. Standard for this bike is a it's a 160. Standard, which is this one right here, is a 165. Meaning this is running lean on my main jet. How I did not check all this when I swapped out my carb kit, I have no idea. This is an all balls replacement carburetor kit here, and this is what came stock in the bike. So this is the stock main jet, which is richer than my replacement all balls rebuild kit. So issue number one is this: I'm running lean anyway. Issue number two is I had a 52 pilot jet, which is, I want to say this is the one that was in it, but like an idiot, I took this out and set it right next to this other pilot jet that I already grabbed. So I'm almost positive I had the 52 in there, which is a very rich pilot jet. So now this one is a 45, which is right close to standard. Now here's the thing, is a 42 is what comes standard. So if I was running a 52 and a 42 is what is standard, then I need to run this one because it's a lot closer to stock. Now I'm at basically sea level. I'm at 500 feet above elevation. So this is really what I want to run. So I'm going to go ahead and change the jetting out on this, fix the float issue real quick with it, and then I think I'm just going to button it back up. I don't even think I'm going to check the valves. I figured the valves may be part of my issue, but after seeing this, I'm almost positive it's not. Alright guys, the bike is back together. I didn't want to bore you with a time lapse on the assembly of it. Went back together really smooth. Couple things that I found, as I mentioned before. My jetting was really far off. I say really far off. It wasn't too bad, but it was definitely lean on the pilot jet and on the main jet. So that's my fault for not looking at it. So if you guys ever order a standard rebuild kit for your carburetor from any company for that matter, make sure you check the jetting. I didn't. I just assumed that it was standard, and I should have looked at it, but it was off on the lean side a little bit, which surprises me because standard jetting is pretty, it's pretty lean from the factory. So I'm not really worried about the bike. I don't think I cooked anything or ran it too long like that. I'm not hard on my bike anyway, so I'm not worried about it, but it's gonna run better. I can already tell. Just based on the numbers and based on what the manual says. So the bike did have a slight miss before, and I'm assuming that was due to the lean jetting. So also I got my float bowl issue fixed, so hopefully no more does the carburetor leak. Kind of hard to see now, the lighting's kind of bad, but anyway, you can see there I also redid my lines. I got some new flexible line in there. So we're pretty much fresh to go on a carb rebuild. I say a carb rebuild. I just rejetted. I didn't clean it out, tear it down. But anyway, I think I'm gonna fire it up tomorrow afternoon when I get back from work, and then I will give you guys the full details on that.